So it's come to this. Bruins lose 3-1 to the Ottawa Senators. Let's be honest. This was not the main event tonight. This was very much not the main event tonight. The main event tonight was the first of all, welcome back down to the den. Let's be honest. The main event tonight was not this game. The main event tonight was Leafs versus Panthers, and the Panthers won, which means since the Bruins lost in regulation and the Panthers won, the playoff structure is set, and it could not be any more scripted. Oh my god! I'm not saying that this game was scripted. The Bruins once again were the Bruins once again. It was evident that we were load managing. We did not give even the slightest fuck about this game. But the way that these playoffs are starting, it could not be any more what the scriptwriters want. We get the battle of Florida, with the Florida Panthers as the one seed in the Atlantic Division, and the two seed overall in the Eastern Conference, going against the wildcard one, which in this case is the Tampa Bay Lightning. So that ends up being the Battle of Florida, which, you know, people have been kind of wanting. And because of that, we get round 4, baby! Bruins versus Leafs. Woo! Now, before I go into that, I think we need to address something very, very important. Right before the game, less than 2 hours before the game, Jack Edwards, 19 years as the play-by-play commentator for the Boston Bruins, is on NESN, announced that he would be retiring at the end of the season. At the end of the Bruins season, which means he has at the very least, 4 games left. Because NESN still has the broadcast rights for the first round of the playoffs. So we still have at the very least 4 more games of Jack Edwards, and at the very most 7. But it's kind of gonna be hard. Now I know Alex Faust has filled in for Jack during Jack's vacations during the season, and that's fine. Especially because Alex Faust has been really, really good. I really love Alex Faust. I think that he's been great. But there is speculation. There is speculation that after this season, Seattle Kraken play-by-play announcer John Forsland is going to be moving all the way back to the East Coast, because he is a Springfield, Mass native. So that is a possible scenario. We might have John Forsland as our play-by-play commentator, and I would be happy with that. I'd be happy with Alex Faust. I'd be happy. I would also be happy with the guy from Vegas. Freaking, who is it? Give me one sec. Dave Goucher. Dave Goucher, or however the hell you pronounce his name. Dave Goucher. I would be happy with Goucher. I'd be happy with Forsland. I'd be happy with Fast. But as the voice of the Boston Bruins for 19 of the 22 years that I've lived on this earth, Jack Edwards has played a part in some of the most formative Bruins memories of my life. You know, the Bruins beating Montreal in the first round of 2011. And he called that. He called the Bruins winning. He called the Boston Bruins beating the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first round of 2008. In Game 7 of the first round of 2013. He called the Boston Bruins beating the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first round in Game 7 of 2018. He called the Boston Bruins beating the Toronto Maple Leafs in Game 7 of the first round of 2019. And now he has the opportunity to call the Boston Bruins beating the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first round in Game 7 of the first round of 2024. Now, I really, really hope that it does not come to the... No, I really, really hope that he calls the Boston Bruins beating the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first round before Game 7 of 2024. But I understand that things might go awry. Regardless, you understand where you understand what I'm saying, especially because last year, like we can, like I've said over the past few games, we can piss and moan all we want about the Bruins losing in the first round last year. That does not take away from the fact that we had 135 points last year. We won 65 fucking games last year. Like here's the thing. People love to clown on the 73 and 9 of Golden State Warriors. People love to clown on the 116 win in Seattle Mariners. People love to clown on the 16-0 Patriots without really realizing that that you don't get that far just off of sheer luck. Like you don't win 65 games on accident. You don't win 73 games on accident. You don't win 16 games in a 16-game season on accident. You don't win 116 games in a 162-game season on accident. Like, these teams are really good. Regardless of how they ended, these teams were fantastic. And I would not have had anybody else calling these games for the Bruins over the past 19 years. So, Jack Edwards, here's to you. I'm drinking Jack Savvy for you. This is the sixth fucking beer I've had today. God fucking damn. This is the sixth beer I've had in the past 4 or 5 hours. Do I care that the Bruins lost tonight? No, not really. Hey, I mean, honestly, the fact that Francois Saint Laurent was one of the refs tonight, that basically tells you all. That basically tells you all you need to know about how this game was reffed. I mean, honestly, it was a pretty clean game either way. Didn't really seem like anybody really cared what the stakes were, and for what it's worth, there really were no stakes to this one. It was really just the only thing that the Bruins had to fight for was playoff seeding, and the only thing that the Sens had to play for was bragging rights. Who cares? The Sens, they were supposed to be really good this year. Honest to God, I had the Sens as one of my dark horse candidates for the second wildcard spot this season, especially after they got Jacob Chikrin. I thought that the Senators were going to be a dark horse candidate for the second wildcard spot. Like what the fuck? Like what the fuck? This team sucks. This Senators team sucks, and I know that means that we lost to a team that sucks. But you know what? Sometimes you lose to bad teams, and sometimes you just don't give a fuck. And sometimes, which means we drinking. But before we do, I decided to before tonight's game, not before tonight's game, before tonight, it's Into the Den. I decided to write a little poem to ring in the first round of the 2024 playoffs. So, let's go. The stage has been set with these 16 teams. The time now has come. Are they more than they seem? In one corner, a squad hailing from Boston, Mass. More than a few thought them dead, but alas, they continue to challenge, much to others' chagrin, hoping that, unlike in past years, they'll win. And with noodles and knuckles and bear hugs aplenty, and a man on a tryout has fans shouting, God sent he! Up the gut not the same, no 46 nor 37, but 13 and 18 have cranked things up to 11. And opposite, a foe treated like little brother, Toronto's Maple Leafs have come back for another. Their big cactus stands tall, nigh on 70 goals, and Marner has defenses taking a toll. 40 goals were scored by a man named Willie, and Tavares, their captain, made grown men look silly. In the past, they're a team known to take people's shit, but with Tuzi and Revo, their sandpaper and grit, to enter the ring, one steps out alive. Which team will have what it takes to survive? The time now has come, as I say with a grin, let the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs begin! I guess before I go, this season has been fantastic. And I think honestly the thing that exemplifies it is the 7th player award. The 7th player award. Now, there were a lot of people that were confused. Danton Heinen probably should have won this one. Like I said in the freaking poem, man started out on a professional tryout contract and ended the season as a regular contributor on the top line of this team. But I can understand why Frederick won it. I can understand why Frederick won it. I know. I said on Wheel Snipe Sally that it should have been that it should be Heinen. I still kind of stand by it. That Danton Heinen should have won it. But even though I said on Wheel Snipe Sally that Frederick did not deserve it because there was definitely time for him to score 50 points. That's not really the point. Sorry about that. I had to go to the bathroom real quick. But with Frederick, as to how much Frederick is concerned, this is where the phrase "they don't ask how, they ask how many" kind of falls flat. Because with Frederick, you very much do ask how. Oh, it's not because his talent doesn't warrant a 40, maybe 50 point performance. Because honestly, I still think that Trent Frederick could have hit 50 points. It's that the way that he has matured this season it shows an astounding amount of growth. An amount of growth that I am very, very happy is on our team. And I cannot, and honestly, I think he's earned himself a new contract. Over the next, I think he's on for the next year. I think he's signed for next year. Give me 1 sec. Bruins cap friendly. Give me 1 sec. Bruins Trent Frederick. Yes, he is signed. He is signed until next year. $2.3 million. At which point he will be a UFA. I think after this, you give him a pretty good contract. You give him a decent contract. Now, I don't think that you give him a massive contract. I think that you give him a Tanev contract. Something that relies a lot more on the something that relies a lot more on in term than it does on AAV. And something like 6 years, 4 years, if you give him Carlo's contract, I'd be very, very happy with that, honestly. Speaking of which, Carlo did not play tonight. Looks like he's a little bit. He got a little bit dinged up in that game against Washington, and it's fine. It's fine. Carlo seems to be fine, and I think that he and for what it's worth, it seems like he's going to be back for game 1. For which I say, game on, Toronto. Game on. That is going to be it for tonight. Now, as for the hype video, I'm committed this year. We're not going to have a situation like last year where I promise the hype video and it does not get done until right before the start of the next season. I am committed. I am very much committed to finishing the hype video this week. Before game one. You are going to see that hype video. Oh. It is going to happen. I promise you, it is going to happen. And if it doesn't, well, I will throw myself off the Zaken. But thank you all so much for watching. I will see you guys when that hype video drops. I might see you again for that I might see you again for a little bit of a preview of Bruins vs. Leafs, and I will definitely see you guys again tomorrow for a little bit of a special episode of Into the Den, for something that I am pretty passionate about. And if you haven't picked up on it, look at the schedule. Take care. I'll see you guys tomorrow.